All right, so let's dive into Power BI. Today, we're moving past just, clicking import. We're going to talk about what happens next, how you take that raw data and sculpt it into a powerful, clean data model. Because that's the real engine behind any amazing visualization.
This quote really hits the nail on the head. Prepping your data isn't just some boring technical checklist. It's got this creative side, the art of seeing the potential story in your numbers. And of course, it takes that scientific precision to actually make it happen. It's that combo that turns raw data into something that really means something.
So here's our game plan for this explainer. We'll kick things off with the big why we even need to model. Then we'll get you comfy in the Power BI cockpit. After that, we'll get our hands dirty shaping and connecting the data. And finally, we'll get to showtime, publishing your masterpiece. Let's start with that first big question. Why bother?
Okay, first things first. Why can't we just load a bunch of data into Power BI and jump straight to making those beautiful charts? Well, the simple answer is that the quality of your insights is 100% tied to the quality of your data model.
Getting your data into the program is just step one. Seriously, think of it like this. You've just dumped all your groceries onto the kitchen counter. The ingredients are there, sure, but you haven't even started cooking yet. Your data needs that same kind of attention to become a well-oiled data set that's actually ready for some real analysis.
So what does it take to build a great model? Well, it boils down to these key actions. Making sure your data types are correct, designing your tables smartly, and, maybe most importantly, creating the connections between them. This is the stuff that lets your model tell you not just what happened, but helps you figure out what to do next.
All right. Now let's get our bearings and take a look at the workspace where all this magic happens. You can think of this as the cockpit of your data modeling airplane.
You're going to be spending most of your time in two main places. Over on the left, you've got the data view. This is your microscope. You can see every single row, every cell. It's perfect for getting into the nitty-gritty. Then on the right, you have the model view. This is more like the 30,000-foot view. It shows you the whole blueprint, how all your tables are laid out and connected to each other.
And the main control panel for all of this? That's the home ribbon, right at the top. It's your command center, giving you access to basically everything you need to manage your data.
Let's just highlight 4 of the big ones here. Get data is pretty self-explanatory. It's your doorway to like 100 different sources. Transform data is huge. That takes you into the Power Query editor, which is kind of like the workshop where you clean and shape everything. Manage relationships is where you build those all-important bridges between your tables. And publish? Well, that's the big red button you press when you're ready to show off your work. Okay, tour of the cockpit is done. Time to roll up our sleeves. Let's actually start sculpting this raw data into something we can use. This right here is one of the most common and most important things you'll do. So let's say you imported sales data, but Power BI just sees the price column as a bunch of random numbers. You just select that column, pop over to the Column Tools tab, and you tell Power BI, hey, this isn't just a number, it's a fixed decimal number. Then you set the format to currency. Just like that, your data actually has some meaning. So fixing data types is key, but your control goes way deeper than that. You have full command over the containers themselves, the actual tables and columns that make up the structure of your model.
For instance, renaming a table couldn't be easier. You know how sometimes your data comes in with a name like Sheet 1? Just right-click on it, choose Rename, and call it something that makes sense, like sales_transactions. The only rule you have to remember is that every single table in your model has to have its own unique name.
Now, a quick but very, very important warning. It's super easy to delete a table or a column that you think you don't need, but you have to be careful. If that column is connected to another table, if it's part of a relationship, deleting it will snap that connection and could mess up your entire report. It's kind of like taking out a load-bearing wall in a house. You got to know what it's connected to first.
You know, that warning about breaking relationships really just shows how crucial they are. This is where we build the blueprint for our model. It's how we turn a bunch of separate, clean tables into one single, cohesive unit.
The good news is Power BI is actually pretty clever about this. When you import your data, it scans everything. And if it finds 2 columns in different tables with similar names, like product ID in a sales table and product ID in a products table, boom, it'll create that relationship for you automatically. Saves you a ton of work. But what happens when it's not so obvious? What if you have a column named location ID in one table and city ID in another, but
You know they're talking about the same thing. Power BI might miss that. And that's when you have to step in and take over.
And creating a relationship yourself is really straightforward. You just click Manage Relationships back on the ribbon, hit New, and then it's all point and click. You select your first table, then your second one, and then you just tell Power BI which columns are supposed to link up. Click OK, and you've literally just taught your model something new about how it works.
So you've cleaned your data, you've shaped it, you've built the blueprint connecting everything together. Now for the really satisfying part. It's showtime. Let's get this thing out there for people to see. So publishing your data model basically sends it from your personal desktop up to the online Power BI service. This turns it into a live, shareable asset. Now you and your team can all use this same model to build reports and dashboards, and nobody has to start from scratch.
And after all that effort, all the crafting and connecting, the final step is just beautifully simple. You go to the Home ribbon and you click that one button, Publish. And that's it. Your masterpiece is now live and ready for its audience. So, there we have it. We've gone from a pile of raw, disconnected data all the way to a clean, powerful, published data model. The foundation is rock solid. And that leaves us with just one final and really important question. The technical work is done, but the creative work? That's just getting started. So, what story will you tell?